Hello, welcome to our exciting new franchise wars. In this, four of us decide which is the best or the best worst of a series of films.
It was an invisible mark.
Yes, Monk decided to walk away. He's getting so I'm sure the visual clue is there. Tonight we're doing the Rocky film. No, we're going to do the Rambo franchise. So, yeah, Mart, take it away, bud.
Welcome to Franchise Wars. Let's go. Welcome to Franchise Wars. This week we're going Rambo. We got one brilliant film and we got 4 sequels. Fantastic. Sequels of varying quality. I mean, I say 4 sequels. Technically, in my mind, 1 brilliant film, 3 sequels, and 1 action film that for some reason they decided to call Last Blood.
You see, I would say you have 3 films and 2 art projects.
Yeah, but 2 and 3 are the art projects, surely. Although,
we can get into that
4 could be an art project with the exploding bodies.
Yeah,
Just
I think 4 and 5 were absolutely art projects. I don't think they were Rambo films at all.
Okay.
The funny thing about 5 is that it felt like a contractual obligation rather than any part of a story arc.
And yet, it's 11 years later. That's the scary bit.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell contract was that? I can only assume they had some dirt on Sylvester Stallone, and that was it. Or he lost a bet or something. He was probably having a bet with Arnold Schwarzenegger to see who could make the shittest belated sequel to their biggest franchises.
Apparently Schwarzenegger and the agents did con Stallone into doing a lot of films in the 80s that were complete crap.
Yeah,
I think I'll stop on my mum will shoot, things like that.
Yeah. I have to say, I think the first one for me, looking back at it now, it's a good film. It's actually really tragic. You know, it's clearly a guy suffering from major PTSD.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm thinking.
It's actually really, really sad. And by the end of it, the guy's in tears. You're going, oh dear. I mean, you know, you've got Richard Crenna, who's great in it as Troutman, and I love Brian Dennehy. He plays a really good, evil son of a bitch in Teasel. A lot of the action sort of leaves me cold. I'm not bothered about a lot of that. But, oh dear me, then First Blood, and it just goes on. Sorry, Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
First Blood's numero uno.
First Blood Part 2 and then Rambo 3.
What I really like about First Blood, there's not really... Every other film, it's set up, it's a war, you know, with him against a bad guy. The first film, it's a war, but it's a continuation. There's not really a bad guy. Brian Denny is not really a bad guy. He's just a guy who can't back down. He refuses he's done the wrong thing and just keeps carrying on, making a mistake, going after somebody that he shouldn't be going after. But every other one, that's a personal war sort of thing in there. It is PTSD kicking in and all that, and it's a personal war. Every other one of the sequels is a full-on war.
The first movie is a story.
Track of what it's
story of a bloke who doesn't fit in, they want to piss off. Everything else, it's okay, mediocre action, but the story is great and it runs along smooth. And it was meant to be a one-off. He killed himself in the original ending. And then, he said, hang on a second, this is Stallone, we can't kill him. He's done Rocky 1 and 2 and 3 and 6 and 15. We'll be able to use it to do more. And then so you got 1, which is great. You can sit, you can enjoy it. It doesn't make you want to slit your throat. And then you get 1 and 2, which is the biggest pile of fucking shit they've ever put to screen in my entire lifetime. And I still can't get between 2 and 3 because they just blur into 1. And I can't tell you now, after watching them again, what happens apart from Rambo going, kill, get the bad guy. He's a Russian. He's a commie. Kill him, rescue him. Government don't want me.
Well, part 2 is Vietnam and exploding arrows. Part 3 is that kind of that weird polo with a horse polo with a dead sheep in Afghanistan.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
and the M60s like fired off like crazy.
Rambo 3 is the film that wouldn't be made now, with an ending that says, thank you so much to the people of Afghanistan. Can you imagine now? That wouldn't be made. Ronan, can you imagine now with some of your American friends over there? They'd be going, son of a bitch, we can't do that. God damn.
All right, not my friends, but, you know, yes, in parts of America. And I mean, you know, I think that's what you said about those films not getting made now. And I think the first one wouldn't get made now because, like, now that is a film that doesn't deal with a mental health issue in a particularly sensitive way at all. You couldn't do that now. No way, not for a second. And then, I mean, the second and third ones, for me, reminded me a bit of the Transformers movies, to be honest, in terms of Team America. And I think I think it's like a case you could start, like I measure my spin-off show in poos. I think you could measure Rambo's and Transformer movies in terms of Team Americas. How many Team Americas is this? Yeah. I would say the Transformer movies are 5 Team Americas, and the Rambo movies are probably 3 Team Americas. Yeah.
With
the Dirk.
Yeah, and it's just ludicrous. And I mean, you know, you go from, as Dave said, this really tragic story to 2 and 3, which is just gratuitous violence. I think, unlike Mark, I can kind of work out the difference between them, because there was a girl tagging along in the second one. That's it. And
I didn't notice. I was too busy being sucked in by the red bandana.
Oh no, it's very much when you watch the Rambo movies. There's kind of, from the second one onwards, there's normally somebody there that's trying to, like, almost be his savior, his conscience or whatever, trying to bring him into the real world. And they're quite often killed off or just taken away really quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's just an excuse for muscles, explosions, and look, we're ice and we're going to kill everybody.
I think all of them demonstrate
are sort of made basically so that they can do the cartoons and sell action figures.
Yeah.
1 is a really great film. It's one of my favourite films to this day. I love it. But 2 and 3 are action figure cartoon tie-ins. 4, they try to make a sequel to First Blood, but with the kind of over-the-top explodey action of 2 and 3, and then 5 was somebody else's script, another action movie that he'd done, and he just wrote Last Blood on it and
he just changed character name to Rambo.
With Rambo 4,
I need a better name than this. John Rambo, yeah, that'll do. The 5th one.
I was really surprised with Rambo 4 though, because I was expecting more of 2 and 3, and what we got was.
You can speak.
What did we get?
An Oscar-worthy performance in reality, right? From the CGI blood, right? This movie was the first movie to turn around and go, right then, we can do CGI blood. Great, let's put some here, put some here, put some here. And if you watch it, especially the last 10 minutes, it's gratuitous. It's everywhere.
When he takes the M60 and machine guns somebody in half with a couple of bullets, and then someone's head off with a simple swipe, and the head goes flying off. They just gored up. As soon as he shuts a bullet in them, they explode with red goo.
And you know what? That actually, it's what makes Rambo 1, First Blood. It's what makes it actually, because it's not about, oh my God. And the trouble is, I think, what people remember about Rambo is, oh yeah, the booby traps and what he's done, and he's like such a machine. Actually, it's a really tragic film. And the more you watch it, you realise actually how painful it is. It's quite a painful watch. And the scene with Richard Cranner and him, and he's crying about how much it was great. And you thought, oh yeah, Stallone's not that bad an actor. Fast forward to Rambo 2, and you go, all right, here we go, strap yourselves in. I mean, the scene shirtless in that barn with the office in after Murdoch with the machine gun is ridiculous. It's like something from the A-Team, but it was meant to be. And then Rambo 3, you know, I mean, they weren't even trying anymore. Let's just take the piss out of ourselves. And then it just got progressively worse and worse. Rambo 4, John Rambo, whatever they bloody called it. I mean, the scene with the Jeep with the gun in it and he cuts people up. Now, Quentin Tarantino did that in Inglourious. and people were going, oh, yeah. It was Rambo 4 and Rambo 5 with Martin. If you can do the Indiana Jones honors for me, please.
Kalima!
That was ridiculous. I was watching that last scene going, right, so he's murdered all these people in his ranch, blown up the evidence, but somebody's got to clean that up. What the hell's going on? Just...
I could have killed you 10 times.
What?
Second Amendment, mate. Second Amendment.
I am fresh out of watching.
They're just dreadful.
I'm fresh out of just coming off the back of watching Rambo 5. And the problem I've got with Rambo 5 is, unlike Rambo 4, is it's John Rambo. He's still quiet. He's still moody. Rambo 5 starts off with Rocky in the role as Rambo, because it's basically Rocky from the Creed movies. He talks the way, the mannerisms are the same, the way he swagger, he walks. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, Christ, I am watching Rocky playing John Rambo. It was really weird. Whereas before, I could differentiate. No, I can't say it tonight. I must
differentiate.
That's the one. I could differentiate between.
You know what? What threw me on there?
And then Rocky, right? Then Rocky goes. It's a bit tragic. The story is better than the previous movies, but then Rocky then turns into an adult version of Home Alone. And
Liam Neeson, Kevin
McAllister. Right, I was sat in the back here with my earphones on, and I was laughing like a child at the action scene.
You can see what they've done. They've taken the bit on the hillside when he does the traps, and they thought, oh, let's take that up like 1,000 notches, sort of thing. Let's do it. But it does become more. That last film, though, I swear to God, it's not a Rambo film. It looks in style like a Friday the 13th film. It's got the cuts of a Taken film, because obviously Sylvester Stallone can't move very much now, so they just do little single shots of him doing an action to make him seem like he's moving quickly. But it looks that cheap and like a horror. It looks like a cheap horror movie.
Yeah.
I love the story though, because the first hour did suck me in, but it didn't feel like a Rambo movie.
Story.
And I wasn't expecting him to go and rescue her, and then she dies in the car on the way back to Mexico.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
No.
I thought he was going to go all hell for leather and rescue her at the end. That threw me a curveball. That was quite like, oh bloody hell, this is getting interesting. And then he goes back.
It could have been a good movie if it wasn't given the Rambo title in there. If you'd watched that as just a Stallone movie on its own, I think you'd have appreciated it. The fact that it was tied into the Rambo franchise and it doesn't really fit in with the Rambo franchise is kind of what killed it.
He got too much dialogue. Was one of my issues with him, because in the John Rambo 4, it's very much a sequel to the first one, because his dialogue isn't there. It's all the way about him is total blankness to any kind of emotional response or anything apart from anger. Whereas in this one, he's got too much dialogue. He's suddenly got a caring family that he's obviously been with. He's built up a nice ranch. He's riding around on horses. And I'm thinking, where's this character development suddenly come from?
Well, all they gave you was the end of 4 when he's going to the ranch.
Going to ranch, but this bloke was machine.
I'm interested in what Ronan thinks of this, because Ronan watches them as a whole, as a story being told. And this has got to have messed with your head majorly, mate, because where the hell did this jump around to all over left, right, centre, everywhere? Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think, Rambo Last Blood did close out the arc, close that story, but I mean, if it had ended on 3, that would have been fine. I mean, I don't know. I guess at the end of 3, I didn't feel that invested to give much of a damn about what happened. It was more of a, okay, that's over. That's fine. That's the end of it. It just felt like, you're really cliched, unnecessary sequel. I think they did everything to make it an unnecessary sequel. And that's why I say it's more of an art project. It felt more of like an arty homage to the Rambo movies of yore. you can imagine some hipster making it without any lenses in their glasses. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. Yeah, it didn't feel like a Rambo movie. It felt very, very disjointed. It didn't feel like a whole arc. Even though the story made it an arc, the in-between bits made it feel not so.
I mean, like I said, I quite liked Rambo, the first one. I quite like First Blood. 2 and 3 felt
quite like First Blood.
Yeah.
That's like quite liking Orson Welles or something.
Whoa,
No,
look.
Fantastic.
Look, no, come on. It's not amazing. It's a
It
decent
is.
film.
First Blood is amazing. First Blood is up there. It's one of those fantastic. It's up there with Die Hard as one of the best movies, best action movies, because it was probably the forerunner to Die Hard. It was that one. They tried to make it a little more realistic. Yeah, you've still got jumping off cliffs into trees and that, but it's a little more realistic than some of like the uber action stuff. Like the
first one is a good film, and for its time, it was really, really good at its time. And then
no, it's still pretty good now.
The point I was making was
it does hold up. It does hold up. I've got to admit.
The first one's a good film, and watching it as I did, which was actually this is really quite tragic, and I'd never watched that before. I always thought of First Blood as, you know, I was a young lad going, oh, look at the action killing, and actually it's really good for that. It's a good. It's a
Krenner's speech when he first turns up as well.
Richard Crenner,
yeah, he's my boy. I trained him out to give me. I didn't even be in that. I trained him to eat, kill. Period. To eat things that make a billy go puke. 200 body bags. You're going to take that many body bags? Just
2 and 3, Mart.
You're going to take that many men? Just remember one thing. Good supply of body bags.
That's pretty much, 2 and 3 are a video game, which is just, we'll put a bit of dialogue in and that'll do. And it got silly. The shirtlessness, the hair, the just stupidness.
It was just macho bullshit for macho bullshit.
Yeah, and that leaves
Well, they had all the cartoons and everything going at the time, and they had a vision of what Rambo is, and they wanted to sell that as a cartoon where Rambo was some sort of James Bond super soldier thing. He goes from being a well-trained special forces soldier into a Superman super soldier with shades of Michael Bay and James Cameron all over the thing. Exploding, pew, pew, bang, bang, this is going to blow up, lens flare. And then 3 wants to do what he did with Rocky 4 and preach a bit and do this sort of, if I can change, you can change. We can all change. We love each other. We love people.
Did you all watch? He's believable in First Blood. He's believable. In 2 and 3, it's ridiculous. And then 4 is a parody, and 5 is a joke.
See, I think 4.
When I was watching 3, it was 3 when I got to the point. Like in 1, Rambo's presented as being a top soldier. He's just like one of the best at what he does. But then when you get to 3 and you're watching it, and it's like, can we acknowledge that some of his greatness is actually that he's just kind of lucky? Like, he's just lucky. Nobody else would have survived that.
Do you know what it reminds
me of? With a gun.
3 were essentially prototypes for the Expendables later on.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminds me of? So I really hoped at some point, and this is going to reference a previous franchise war, I was hoping at some point in the last 4 films, somebody was going to say, execute Order 66, because nobody can shoot straight. Nobody can. Their aim is so off. He's just lucky. He's there riddling bullets everywhere. Every shot they do miss. It's just.
It's the A team.
It's ridiculous.
Did you see Last Blood?
Action movie, major.
Where he got shot twice. Shoulder.
Yeah, where he dies in the chair. Yeah. And then did you keep on watching the credits where it gave you flashbacks of the rest of the franchise? Yeah. And then
I like they do black and white with the old
ones, and then they do black and white of the one
you just watched.
Did you watch the very, very final scene where he's in the rocking chair? Yeah. Let me just show you this. Look, because this is gonna irritate Dave. If this will share, hang on. Oh, I can't. Anyway, I can't share it to you. So you saw it. He gets up out of the chair, gets on a horse, and rides off into the sunset. So he's not dead.
Or is he?
He's Rambo.
Or is he?
Yeah. Is that his death? Is he going with the Valkyries? Is he?
No, he's not. It's so they can do Rambo 6. But what we've got to be thankful for. Right?
Where was he going?
No, I don't care.
To the pharmacy.
Apparently he has said
Nobody. You're reading way too much into that bullshit. This is Rambo. I'm making up as they go along. But we've got to be thankful with the Rambo 5 we nearly had was Sylvester Stallone fighting mutated werewolves. That was nearly made. About 5 or 6 years ago. He signed up, he got the book and the rights to the book, and he was going to go into the woods and he was going to fight mutated science fiction werewolves.
You see, that sounds like it's getting into Transformers, The Last Night, like that kind of category of bloated
Probably
badness.
share the screen. Hang on, if I'll get the link, I'll send it to Dave.
I was going to say, if you send it me, because I'll edit it into the video, what I would say is Rambo fighting mutated werewolves still sounds better than Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I'm up for that. I'll watch that. Because that will be better than Revenge of the Sith. Because Revenge of the
Not as good as Matt Berry as Lewis Tully, though.
Yeah. I think, can we all agree, first of all, that First Blood...
Dave.
Thank you. Can we all agree that, first of all, First Blood is the best film?
By a mile.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a doubt.
So
I mean, I think as Martin alluded to at the start, it's the only film.
Yeah. So it's unanimous. First Blood is a good film. I don't think it's great.
You're wrong then, because it is.
I'll tell you what. When I was watching them, and this is the first time I've watched them, I was sitting in this chair here, and my missus was over there with the TV on, and I had my laptop on and my headphones on, and I was just like, "This is amazing."
It is. It's great. It's a fantastic. It's one of my favourites to this day.
It's
I
hard to
did like podcasting on it recently.
It's waned with time.
I can't argue with you, Mark. I think it holds up. I think it still looks pretty good. Stallone he's fairly lucid in the film.
It is one of his best performances.
Richard Crenna steals it for me. He's so believable. I love Brian Dennehy in it. I just think it works. It's a good film, but it's not.
And you know that Crenna was only brought in at the last minute. It was supposed to be Kirk Douglas playing that role.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then at last minute he couldn't do it, and they brought Crenna in with like no prep really. He'd been doing a stage play in New York, and they flew him out last minute, and he was wearing Kirk Douglas's uniform and everything. That's why it's not quite the right fit for him.
Oh wow! No, I think he's great. I think he's quite believable, and actually, for me, in 2 and 3, he sort of holds them together. Throughout the silliness, it's sort of like, because I mean, bloody hell, Rambo 3. Oh dear me! And even he takes part in the silliness. Then, do I get to shoot one of these? Yeah, it just got a bit daft. Like they
wanted to do the cartoons on a big screen. 18 was really popular. They wanted to just take all that action, oil up his chest and all that, and just let him be a muscly guy. I remember when he did, I think it was 2, Stallone's back, and he just it was a poster of his back, just obviously pumped full of steroids and just oiled up, and that was it. Remember Arnie when he did the Twins, he goes by the poster at the time and looks at it and just goes and laughs again. Yeah, puny man.
Yeah, it's. For me, I mean, I can start my roundup really easy. I actually put it in order of release. That it for me is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my ranking. 1's good, 2 is just about bearable, and I mean bearable. 3 is a joke, 4 is ridiculous, and 5, oh dear me.
Are we going to go into that this quickly?
That's where I am with it. I mean, that's all I can say.
I've just sent you a link on WhatsApp for the original Rambo 5, which was going to be called Rambo 5 Savage Hunt. It was officially greenlit in 2009. That's got to be made, that film, House. I think I would have preferred that.
5 would be a good film on its own if it wasn't part of this franchise. If you're looking, if you were just looking at it as a Stallone action movie, it wouldn't be bad at all, really. But as part of what spoils you is every time you watch First Blood and then you watch any of the sequels, none of them even touch that first movie. They're not really follow on to it. They do what they did in 2 and 3. They made cartoon action, 18 stuff and all that. 4, as I say, they tried to make a direct sequel to First Blood, but with all the over-the-top action and then super CGI blood, as Mark pointed out, that you had in 2 and 3 and new qualities and stuff. And then 5 has been... It's weird. It's like a Friday the 13th director who's also done some Taken stuff with lots of cut shots, trying to then do a sort of Kevin McAllister Home Alone Taken reboot, and doing that now, which should have been a separate film sort of thing.
Yeah.
See, I enjoyed 5, and the problem I've got with it is like you said, he wasn't Rambo. He wasn't brooding. He wasn't silent. He wasn't that hurt man.
I don't think it's the worst. I think 3's the worst.
3's definitely the worst for me. Yeah. I enjoyed 5. I can't say I didn't. I had a good laugh. It was a cracking comedy. I was pissing myself laughing that last hour. It was
my argument is between 2 and 4 as to which one comes second. 2 because it's fun shit. 3 shit. 4's like trying. And then 5's something else entirely, but at least it's sort of okay.
If they hadn't gone over the top in the last 45 minutes or the last 10, 15 minutes of the 5th one, toned it down a bit and not had it so like him shooting the back of people's heads and they're exploding and stakes going through eyes just because you could. Because the first half of that movie, it plays out so well. That curveball of the girl dying and everything else, he could have played the broken Rambo that we know and love, but then it just turned into Home Alone, which was sad.
Well, it's Home Alone with Jason Voorhees because it looks like Friday the 13th, cheap horror movie. The director, it does look cheap. You know, it doesn't look an expensive film. No. It's all done dark. It's all got those quick cut shots and everything, but you could have easily replaced Rambo with Jason Voorhees then with all the slashing, stabbing and everything.
The thing is, you could have replaced Rambo with anybody. It could have been anyone. It wasn't Rambo, but it could have been an everyman.
The genius move would have been if they brought Macaulay Culkin in and just actually made it a full-on Home Alone.
I'll tell you who would have been perfect for this role in Rambo 5. Matt Berry. It'd have been fucking perfect.
And you know what? It's that OTT silliness. You know, like some of the booby traps. Like there at one point there were 3 sticks, and they ricochet in and they cut somebody's face into 3 pieces, like his skull into 3 pieces. And I'm like, oh, it's so awful that it makes it's terrible.
It's slapstick,
but it's kind of enjoyable. Terrible. That's what I didn't hate myself for watching 5.
Oh no!
You know?
Look, it's
what I mean. Comparing 5 to 2 and 3, it's an enjoyable watch. It sucked me in. I watched it.
I thought 2 was an enjoyable watch.
I didn't.
3 is kind of enjoyable, but it's the worst of the lot of them to my mind. But 2, that's why 2 and 4 kind of fight for that second place for me because there's something to kind of like in the 2's ridiculous in that he suddenly becomes that super soldier Superman, you know, who can blow up anything, fight with anything, shoot anything, win a war against an army on his own sort of thing. And then 4, they actually try and tie it to First Blood, but with some ridiculous flaming CGI and killing.
Yeah.
And
it's
a little bit depressing. I mean, the fire pit babies and stuff, you know, just chuck it. Yeah, you've got to be in the 2. You can watch anytime. 4, you've got to be in the right mood to watch because if you're not, that'll press the shit out of you.
He is with 4. He is the John Rambo from First Blood for me. He's the same character. Where he's not in 2, he's not in 3, and he definitely isn't in 5. And for me, it's very much like the Rocky franchise now. There is a Rambo trilogy, and it's 1, 4, and 5. and 2 and 3 I never need to watch because it's just shit. I could actually do 1, 4, and 5, no problem at all. In fact, I could do 1 and 4.
So, okay, I said my ranking is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, really easy, and I quite like. I think 3. What sort of rescues 3 is the very sweet use of "he ain't heavy, he's my brother," just to ease you out of the silliness.
Oh, if you want to talk music in a movie, right?
The Doors.
The Doors cranking in at the end of Last Blood. It just, whoa, what's this shit? And I was
Probably
laughing.
my favourite bit.
So I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mart, what's yours? What's your review? What's your view on this?
One's obviously everyone's First Blood's number 1 for everyone. Full stop. My internal fight anyway, is between 2 and 4 as like next place. There's 2 and 3 between 2 and 4. Then I'll go 5. Then I'll go 3 last. 5 could be higher if it was actually tied into the Rambo movies at all. It was at least enjoyable to watch on its own. 3, there's too much that's, even though 2's ridiculous. As I say, 2's fun shit. 3's just shit. I'd probably go 1, 4, 2, 5, 3. But you know, I'm open to those. That 4 and 2 could swap round places.
Okay, Ronan, what's your thoughts, mate?
I think I'd agree with you, David. Actually, I think I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just because
and you're both fucking wrong, because 2 and 3 is just shit fest wank pile of piss.
But here's the thing, like, I mean, the 4 sequels are not good films. You know, but they're not the worst. But there's so many pros and cons with each one that I can't really have a clear decider. 1 is the only clear one.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, the pros and cons, and each of them would balance it out. So chronology wins.
I've probably put far too much thought into this.
For me, 4, 5, 2, 3.
What was yours? Sorry, mate.
1, 4, 5, 2, 3.
I get that.
And you know what? The 4 sequels to the first one are so bad. I'm not precious to relinquish the order of the last 4. So if I've got to change things around and make 3 as the worst, I'm quite happy with that. They are abysmal.
We all agree the only one worth placing is First Blood at number 1. The rest of them could be anywhere.
Yeah, the rest of them, I think it's nitpicking, and it depends what nits you picked.
Yeah. When you're watching it.
Yeah, I just
think it's a shame about Last Blood, because I think that there's a great movie in there. It's just not a Rambo movie.
Yeah.
If that had just been a new Stallone film out on its own sort of thing, you'd have gone for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's enjoyable to watch on its own, and you say it's just not. It's not part of the First Blood sort of franchise.
I think because he's essentially spent 4 movies saying that, oh, he's a lone wolf and he's on his own and blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden he has a family that he cares loads about.
Yeah, that throws you, and you can just tell that they've got this story from somewhere and just rammed Rambo into it.
I genuinely think he'd wrote a film and then just came up with the title Last Blood and attached it to it, because you know you put the name Rambo on it, it's a cash day.
But clearly it wasn't.
Well, I think he's made so much out of it. I think people went to see it that probably wouldn't have bothered otherwise, simply for the fact it was attached to the Rambo franchise. For me, a sequel to First Blood that's not, it's almost like a reboot of First Blood, really, but it's a British film, and it's Dead Man's Shoes. I love Dead Man's Shoes. I think that's just the British First Blood. Paddy Considine in Derby, he's fantastic. That's sort of what that's more like a sequel to it or a reboot of it than any of the sequels.
That's the guy getting revenge for his dead brother, isn't he?
And
he's on about doing like more of them.
Yeah, so we're back. Quick Zoom shuffle. Let's talk about the future of. Let's talk about the future of Rambo, because he wants to do more, and I'm hearing he wants to do young Rambo, who was a normal, unbroken kid.
Well, will he do that with like
Fuck off.
aging?
he wants to do
Marvel about doing that.
He wants to. Well, Muntz just had enough. He wants to reboot it and go back to when he was a normal kid who was apparently straight-A student, really clever, quite cocky and obnoxious. And it was the Vietnam War that broke it. Yeah, that's what he wants to go back to do.
What's this? The fucking Big Bang Theory does Rocky or what?
Yeah. That would really show and emphasize the PTSD in the first film if they did that. Yeah. I think that would be really, really interesting. Yeah. But I mean, also, it would just be like a case study of the deterioration of somebody's mental health. Yeah. And,
and you've got to get somebody that's as good as Crenshaw as well, then, to play his officer.
Well, yeah.
Who would play the young Rambo?
Who would play the young Rambo? Well, I know who couldn't play him, and that's Matt Berry.
I don't know that.
Well, he's 46. He wouldn't play young.
Mate,
Stallone surely would play himself, just de-aged.
He's so versatile. Matt Berry is. He could do it. Yeah, who would play a young Rambo?
Tom Holland.
Matt Berry can do it.
Tom Holland.
Is it Tom Holland again?
Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah, you'd need somebody who could do that, but could do the broken Rambo once he's seen and gone through what he's gone through when he's joined the Green Berets.
You know what the worst thing about it is? Whoever did it would have to do a Sylvester Stallone impersonation. You couldn't cast somebody as a normal actor just on acting ability. They would have to do a Stallone impersonation as part of the thing.
I've got it.
It's a poison chalice. It's like when they cast Han Solo for Solo. It's a poison chalice.
I've got it. I've done it. Remy Malek. There you go. Done.
Yes, darlings.
He'd be great. I think he'd be really good. I'd be all right with that. Remy Malek could do a young, because he could play cocky. He could play, look at me, I'm great with the ladies. But he would do the broken bit once he's been through the Green Beret part really well.
I've considered shooting you many times in the past, none more so than now.
And if all else fails, he could camp it up like in Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know what the problem is. Great stuff.
Don't push me, Dave. Don't push me.
I can't see the point of this. It'll be about as successful as the young Indiana Jones Chronicles, won't it? I just can't see the point.
Young Indiana Jones Chronicles were quite good.
No, but
I didn't think to say Solo.
Who actually wants to watch this? Seriously? We've just said about how shit the sequels were. How really are any prequel story to it going to be an improvement? The whole point of the first movie was it was a broken man and he wasn't accepted back to coming home. There is no other fucking story to tell because that is the story. Prior to being the broken man with PTSD coming home, there's no story to tell because he doesn't become the person that he is in this movie before it. So it's pointless.
It'd be like Young Guns 2, though. They'd have to have Stallone as old man Rambo telling the tale then of when he was a young man and then cut to the young man's story being done.
But
it's the only way they do it.
But how fucking boring is it going to be? It's like...
It's going to be bad.
Before I came back home, I had some friends that got killed in the war, and I came back home and nobody wanted me. When I came back home, so I got really angry, I got pissed off, and then I upset everybody. I had a fight, and they sprayed me with a shower gun and everything else. That's an interesting story. What did you do before that? Oh, I was at war with my friends in Vietnam, and some of them died. We've seen all that shit before. What can they possibly give? Because the character doesn't become the character until there's blood. He doesn't become that character until First Blood because of what he goes through in First Blood.
Unless Rambo isn't the lead character, unless it's the person who he's learning from.
Crenshaw.
Oh, fuck me, Mr. Miyagi. Oh.
Troutman.
Yeah.
Rambo's the minor character. Yeah, one of the people that he's teaching. They did all the people that he lists out in First Blood that have all died, and it's Troutman the movie.
Yes.
Again, no fucker's going to watch it because it's going to be shit. Because it's pointless.
Oh, Mark, you know we will.
Yeah.
Look, it'll have one viewer.
But you know
It will have at least one viewer, and Ronan will give it ratings of piles of poo, so we'll be all right.
It's all worth it. That's what movie investors are looking for when they're looking for investment opportunities.
Here's some
How much is
guaranteed.
this you're going to rate it in terms of poo?
All I can say is what's happened here is Stallone has watched Gotham over the past 4 or 5 seasons and he's thought, oh, I can do that. And that's all it's going to be, isn't it? Because there's nothing they can do with Rambo, so it's going to be everybody else around him like they've done with Gotham and Bruce Wayne. It's just shit. Like the bollocks.
I'm more intrigued at the moment to know what's Ronan's pile of poo, the spin. What's Ronan the Accuser's spin-off going to be for this? What have you picked? Is it Suburban Commando?
I'm trying to work out if the Asylum had made a version of Rambo. But the thing about Rambo and its sequels is that there are so many action movies, especially from the 80s, especially from that era. I don't know if there's a specific one.
Anything with Chuck Norris in?
Missing in action films are kind of parodies at the time, but you're looking for something that's a bad movie, that's genuinely meant to be a bad movie.
I think you've just said everything you need to say there, Martin, in one sentence. What else can we add?
I do wonder if there's got to be like one of these parody movies that you've got to watch. Haven't they got something like Rambocky? There's got to be something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, you have the Hot Shots movies. I mean, they're close, but they are actually parodies rather than mockbusters. So I don't know, but I'll do some digging and see what's a good Rambo mockbuster or bad movie equivalent.
So that's it. I mean, I'll throw Suburban Commando in there. Anything with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. I mean, Suburban Commando is terrible.
He wears a headband.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think we don't have it very often on Franchise Wars. We have a first. We've all agreed that First Blood is the best. First Blood is the best. And then you can kick around and none of us care enough to go, well, that's shitter than that one.
I think me and Rose summed it up first. First Blood's the only film. The rest of them, whatever.
I think us the way we are and the characters we are in the movies that we like, we've got to give a passing comment to the classic movie Hot Shots Part 2 with Charlie Sheen because it's just wonderful.
It's Top Gun meets Rambo meets.
It's still better than 2 and 3.
If you want to push it, I mean, you've got Commando with Schwarzenegger, but that's not a B movie. I like it. It's fun. Hey, you said you killed me last. I lied. Ooh la la!
Mark, I think you're right. Hot Shots Part 2 is actually better than Rambo First Blood 2. And however, it won't be the first time we say this, and this will be a running theme throughout Franchise Wars. They are all still better than Revenge of the Sith. So there we go. Because Revenge of the Sith is a terrible movie that came out 15 years ago this very week.
And yet it's not even the worst of the prequel franchise, as we all voted the other day.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones is the worst.
Them, in fact.
Revenge of the Sith is an appalling film.
Let your hate flow through you.
So thank you very much, Munt and Ronan and Woody, and we will see you next time on Franchise Wars.